Okay, so here we go. Hi you guys. Again, my name is Christiane. I am one of the counseling interns that we have here at ECI, and I am in charge of the student success workshops. And so the workshop that we have today is keeping up with attendance and assignments. I think this is a really important one of well, every workshop that we do and we talk about is always going to be important, but this is definitely one of the most important ones, especially for dual enrollment students, because not only are you a high school or middle school student, you're also, you know, you're a college student at the same time. So how can we kind of balance your attendance and your assignments along with you know, your own attendance and your own assignments while you're in school? So I did kind of just want to talk about this real quick. This is a mindful moment. I use this a lot with my students at my K through 8 site. Um, if you guys have never heard about this, this is called the 5 4 3 2 1 method. This is a way to kind of ground yourself whenever you start to feel a lot of like big emotions. So like feeling overwhelmed, feeling anxious, or you're feeling panicked. Sometimes when you are kind of balancing between your high school classes and then also your college courses, everything can kind of get overwhelming because you might be getting the wrong due dates. You might forget that you have a class because you've been too busy working on a project, or you were you were doing an extracurricular activity while you were at school and totally forgot to go to class. Well, sometimes like we have to take a moment to basically kind of gather ourselves before we can really do anything and to be very productive about it. So this is one that I think is a really, really easy and calming way to kind of ground yourself again. So it's using the five senses. So it would start off um, with you looking around and looking for five things that you can see, and you would point all those things out, and then you take a deep breath. Then you would count down to four, and there would be four things that you can touch. You can go ahead and touch anything that might be nearby, or kind of look around and see what you could touch. Then it would go so on and so forth. Three things you can hear, two things you can smell, and one thing you can taste. Um, it's kind of a way to kind of bring yourself back down to earth, I guess, in a way. But I mean, using your senses is kind of one of the things. Having overwhelmed like feelings or anxious feelings or panic feelings, um, your senses are basically overloaded. So that's why I think that this method is very helpful for regrounding yourself. So if you guys ever want to use that one of these days when you're overwhelmed with a project, like I say, go ahead and give it a try. So these are the things that we'll be discussing today. So it's not too much, but they have a lot of um importance. Uh we'll be talking about how to use reminders and calendars, and like kind of just briefly going over like how to use them, what to use them for, and like how you can apply that to your classes and whatnot. The second one that I think is very important is valuing attendance. Um, as a school counseling intern myself, attendance is one of the biggest things that I see a lot, or that I kind of focus on a lot at my other school sites. So I want to share that with you guys as well, being college students. Um, we also be discussing dedicating your own study times and your study habits, when to study, how to study, and then figuring out how you can study productively. We're going to be talking about how communication is very important. And I believe that I touched on this a bit um, in our last workshop. And then we also have our time management work. We have our time management piece. So what I did want to kind of tell you guys is that a lot of these things are kind of connected together with all the workshops that we've done previously before, but this is adding on to what you guys may or may not have already known. If you guys have not seen if you guys have seen the workshops or you've attended one of those previous workshops, again, they will be up on Canvas and this will be up on, they are also up on YouTube. So we're going to get started and we're going to talk about our, we're going to talk about the calendars and reminders. So calendars and reminders are very crucial for managing your time. It gives you less stress and it makes you feel a little bit more organized. When you guys are using a calendar, you're using the calendar to keep track of when you're meeting with your classes. You're using it to have a visual on like when your assignments are due, when your papers are due, and you're also using it as a way to plan out your big assignments and projects. So when are you meeting with your group mates? If you have a group project, say for example, you have like a 4-part like big signature assignment and they're all due in different days of the week. So, you're gonna look at your calendar and kind of like pinpoint where it is that those due dates are. Um, Calendars in general are also really fun. If you find one that kind of really speaks to you, I'll show you guys an example in the next slide. What I do want to say is that when you do use a calendar, you guys shouldn't like overload it with information. Um, because then at that point it becomes a little bit more muddled and it becomes a little bit more disorganized. So I would say, use color coding if that helps you guys out with figuring out um, priority tasks and low priority tasks when you're for tests, for quizzes, just kind of for everything like that. Some of the tools that you guys can use for calendars in general, I've mentioned before in our navigating your college courses through Canvas, you guys have a Canvas calendar. And I'll give you guys an example of that in the next slide. You guys also have a Google Drive calendar, and then there's also using the Outlook calendar. Um, the what I want to say about the Outlook calendar is that most emails, so like Yahoo, I believe, well, Google Drive is basically Gmail's calendar. Basically, any email kind of usually has like some sort of calendar. So whatever you prefer to see your emails off of would also be a really good idea. If you use your email a lot or if your email is connected to your Canvas or just to your I guess like your class schedules or any kind of schedule that you have in general, it's a good way to connect it to your calendar so you don't have to worry too much about having to constantly scroll through it, to scroll through your emails, trying to find a specific paper or a specific email that your professor may have sent you. So I'm going to give you guys a quick example. So over here, what we have, this is what my calendar kind of looks like. So as I mentioned before, again, with color coding, these are like the major things that I have for my calendar. So my school site is blue. My LBCC schedule is like pinkish purple. It's supposed to be purple, but it's like a pinkish purple color. And then for my schoolwork, because I'm also a master's student, I have my school here to kind of show me like my assignments. So what I've done here, because my schooling is on a quarter system, and and my classes are also I guess like synchronous. So I have an assignment basically due like every week. What we have here is that I have like what times I'm going in to my sites. I also have like times and a quick description of what assignments I have due, especially for my school. And what I want to say about those is that if you can figure out a way to annotate um your assignments or your um your quizzes in a way that you understand. It makes it and you build up that routine. It makes it a lot more quicker for you to kind of like jot down notes on what it is that you are going to be what is going to be coming up next. For this one, this is an example of LPAC, sorry. This is an example of the Canvas calendar. So I'm sorry that it's covering that my planner is covering the side, but over here on the side, it's color coded for your specific class that you're taking. So right now I'm currently taking two classes. One is my fieldwork class, and then the other one is my regular course class. So this kind of shows, as you can see over here, these are when I am meeting online with my professor and my classmates. This is when my discussion board posts are due, and then these are when my assignments are due. So you can use your calendars, and you can also set a especially if you use like an online calendar like Canvas or like Outlook or whichever it is that you prefer. I'm pretty sure like if you happen to have like a Samsung or you guys are using your iPads, there is definitely an app that you guys can use to keep track of your assignments and set your own reminders. But this is just like one way. And for me, like this has worked, and like I can say that like I've been able to keep up with my assignments, and then also just with other things in general. Also, I do also want to say like at least also if you're a visual learner, which we'll kind of get into um within the next couple of slides, this also really helps. I'm a very hands-on visual learner, so I need to see things and I need to have things like written down, and I have to use my hands in order for me um to kind of like make things stick. So that's why I have this, and I have the my planner, my and I also have my Canvas calendar. So like I said before, we're going to be talking about valuing your attendance. Attendance is very important, especially when you are taking college courses, because funny enough, your attendance is part of your grade. I've had classes at LBCC where attendance was practically like 20% of my grade. So I really could not afford to miss any classes. And that 20% can become really big, especially if you happen to be taking winter and summer courses, because those classes are a lot more shorter. So you really can't miss any of those classes if you want to be able to pass. And at the same time, too, I don't see why no one would want to not attend their class. Of course, like, you're going to feel days where you're not going to want to attend your class because you're not feeling well. Just really don't feel like going. You're not in the mood. Like, that's okay. But we'll kind of get into what you need to do in that sense. But attendance is very important um, because you're not only learning you know, your class, you're not only learning from your professor, but you're also kind of connecting with those around you. So you're connecting and you're kind of networking with your classmates, and you're also networking with your professors. Um, when I was at Cal State Long Beach, when I was doing my bachelor's in psychology, um, a lot of times the professors highly encourage the psychology students to really get to know your professors and to know your classmates, because I believe there was like a specific program, or I believe it was a specific program. I have to look it up again, but that can really help you out with networking with certain professors. And kind of, you can end up working as like a TA for one of the professors. You could be helping proctor some final exams and whatnot. And then also one of those things too is that when you're building rapport with your professors, you're giving yourself a chance to get a letter of recommendation, which is very important. especially if you guys are trying to get into UC, CSUs, and if you guys are also trying to apply for scholarships. So I want to point that out about why it's important for you guys to attend the classes, because when the professors see that you're constantly going to class and you're paying attention and you're giving it your all, professors acknowledge that. Um, that's kind of the way I say how I also see with middle school students and then high school students. Like when your teachers see that you are doing your best or as best as you can be at that moment when you are sitting in their classroom, teachers will acknowledge that. Also, it's just really essential for your academic success and for your future. Um, coming to class on time, do coming in and being prepared and to be fully present. It's not only for your academic success, it's also just for your life in general. So from the words of Woody Allen, I love this quote a lot. 80% of success is showing up. And sometimes, you know what? That 80% can literally be part of your grade. So that's just something for you guys to keep in mind and kind of see the importance of attendance. So we all try to study and we all want to have time to do that. So right now we're going to be talking about our study habits and the time to study. So if you guys don't know by any chance, there is actually a study hours to unit ratio that you guys are supposed, or that a lot of students are supposed to be doing. Basically, um, 1 unit of a course that you're taking, you are supposed to be studying for either 2 to 3 hours. Keeping that in mind, say for example, you are taking, I believe you are taking, let's make it easy. Say for example, you're taking 1 3-unit class. So for example, let's just say you have to do 2 hours of studying per unit. So that would be 2, 4, 6. You would need to do at least 6 hours of studying within the week, not within the day, within the week. Um, why is that important? It's important to keep in mind when you are trying to create a schedule for yourself, especially when it comes down to finals week or it comes to midterms week, and you guys are trying to find, you guys are trying to find some time in between your assignments and your social life in order for you to study so you can ace your exams. Finding your study space. Think about where and when you concentrate the best. So there is a presentation I have that kind of zones in on study habits in general, but this is kind of a generalization of it. So where and when do you concentrate the best? Do you concentrate best in the morning when you wake up? Do you concentrate better in the afternoon after eating your lunch? Or do you concentrate better at night because you're a night owl like me? When do you think you are the most productive is the way I would probably phrase that. Um, if you feel you're not as productive at night because you're already sleepy, then guess what? You should probably go to sleep. You shouldn't try to keep yourself up for too long just because sleep is also very important, which I will also be touching on in a bit. One of the things I did want to mention too is that you should be limiting your distractions when it's time to focus. So say for example, okay, you study better when it's the afternoon. You like to go study in a coffee shop. I know that's what I love to do. I like the ambience of coffee shop. I love the smell of coffee and um, you know, aesthetically pleasing. I'll admit it's very aesthetically pleasing to study in a coffee shop, but you know what? Maybe that is what helped me study the most because if I find something that's aesthetically pleasing, it calms me and it kind of puts me at ease and it's easier for me to focus. So when you limit your distractions, that not only includes like people that are around you. So say for example, if you're studying with your friends, I would say that if you are studying with your friends, know your friends that are willing to study for maybe at least like an hour or two, and know your friends that are not going to be studying for like an hour or two. And kind of be respectful with each other when it comes to deliberating that. But the distractions also mean like, any TV shows that you happen to be having on your laptop while you're typing your paper, the type of music that you try to listen to, and then even your phone, your watch, like anything around you that you know that as soon as you see from your peripheral, your attention is drawn to it and you completely fall out of focus. So limit your distractions. And then also when you finally have your study space, figure out what you need to prioritize. Um, do you want to prioritize the notes that you have to retake because it's all scribbly and looks like chicken scratch because you were in a rush to write down what your professor was saying? Um, do you need to work on that group project that is due probably within the next few days? Um, do you need to work on your makeup assignments that you need in order for you to boost your grades up a little bit because you missed those assignments and you talked to your professor and they gave you extra time. So do you want to do that instead? Um, when you finally have your study space, try to figure out what it is that you need to do first before you start scrambling and just randomly starting to do a million things at once. You'll be a bit more organized that way, and you'll be a little more you'll be able to kind of how would you say? I would say that you would get stuff done a lot more quickly if you figure out what you're going to do first. And then finally, for the study habits of time, understand yourself. Uh, know yourself when it comes to terms of studying, and then also know when it comes to terms of your time. So know how long you can study for. Uh, know what your strengths and weaknesses are. So say, for example, you work better uh, when you're drinking coffee. Um, you work better when you're drinking water. You work better when you have your headphones on. Um, you don't work, you lose focus when you hear someone opening a door. So maybe not studying around where there's a lot of movement in and out of a place. Maybe you um, lose focus of studying when you hear your phone on, when you hear a text tone. So maybe you should be turning off your cell phone for ever so how many minutes, just so they don't just so um you don't lose focus and then you fall into the rabbit hole of using your phone. Like I mentioned before, understand what kind of learner you are. So there are some people that learn really quickly and there's some people that learn kind of slow. um how that's important for your assignments and for your just for attendance in general. um Try to understand how long it takes for you to focus on one subject and to finally understand a subject, and then how long it takes for you to move on to the next one while also still keeping the former subject in mind. Um, does it help when you're on hands on? Does it help when you are um does it help when you see things? Does it only help when you listen to it? Just try to figure out like what learning style fits you the most. And then also for your study style, that should also kind of match your learning style. So are you more of, I would much rather type on a computer and do my notes and to do all my highlighting and to do all my studying on my laptop, or would you rather have, your book and paper, your book and notebook, and you would use your highlighters and your pens and pencils to write down and to study for that upcoming test? So I like to use a variation of both. It really just depends on what um I would say also it depends on what class you're taking, and then also depends on your teacher's study style. Um, some study techniques that I want to highlight One of them is this, which is the Pomodoro technique. I love this technique so much. I use it all the time. Basically, what the Pomodoro technique is, in case if you guys have never heard of it, you set yourself on a timer for at least 25 to 50 minutes, depending on how long you think that you can study for. Um, they have some on YouTube where there are people who do timers and stuff like that. If you are able, if you don't get distracted though, if you don't get distracted with using a Pomodoro technique from YouTube, then I would say definitely use it. It's makes it a little bit more easier, rather than having to constantly use your phone to turn on, turn off your timer. But basically, um, you would take 25 to 50 minutes to have no distractions around you and to just work. And when those 25 to 50 minutes are done, based on how long you decided to study or to work for, you're given at least like 5 to 10 or 15 minutes of a break time. And it's kind of like intervals. So it's work, break, work, break. Um, you're spacing out your time and you're doing your tasks easily. And you're kind of evening it out. So what that is like, say for example, you spend 25 minutes on studying world history. Um, then you have your break. The next time that you start working, you can either continue working on, you can continue studying on your world history, or you can move on to a different task, which could be, working on an assignment that you have. So you could work on that for 25 minutes and then you have another 5 minute break and then so on and so forth. Um, in a way, I think it's easy for you to kind of see like what it is that you can do and we can do within like a specific amount of time. And you will, if you try it out, you will honestly, like, I will honestly say that you will be able to focus more and you'll be able to get more done. Um, brain food. Brain food is very important. If you eat proper food while you're studying, you'll be able to think better, your memory will be better, and you'll also have a healthy diet. Some healthy diet foods could be like dark chocolate, it could be eating berries, it could be eating if you're a sushi lover, eating sashimi or even fish in general. That's going to help you retain your memory better and it'll help you do critical thinking better when you are either taking a test or when you're writing a paper or just anything in general. Proper sleep. Sleep is always good. The average amount of sleep that students should be getting per night is about 6 to 8 hours. I will be guilty and say that I do not get 6 to 8 hours of sleep. I probably at most get maybe 4 or even 3 hours of sleep. That's a work in progress for myself that I need to work on. But having proper sleep will just help you, say, for example, if you are studying late at night, and you go to sleep, you'll be able to retain you'll be able to retain your learning, your studying a lot better when you wake up in the morning. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of this rule. I thought this was a pretty cool rule for sleeping. I'm going to start doing it. It's a really interesting rule. It's called the 10-3-2-1-0 rule. So the sleeping rule is kind of like a guideline as to what you should be not doing within a certain amount of time before you go to sleep. So the first one, 10 hours. The first 10 hours before you go to bed, you should be avoiding caffeine. So no more matcha lattes, no more coffee, no more sugar. Like cut that out 10 hours before you're ready to go to bed. The 3 hours before bed, you need to stop consuming food. One reason for that is so you don't get acid reflux, and also, you know, your your body is able to kind of like rest. It's not working towards making sure that you're digesting your food. Your food's already digested after 3 hours, and you will be able to lay down comfortably. 2 hours before bed, you should be finishing any other work or any other stimulating activity. So whether that's you studying or that's you playing on your Switch, um, I would say 2 hours before bed, that is when you should stop. And then 1 hour before bed, you turn off all your electronic devices. So that includes your phones, your TVs, your iPad, your laptop, literally anything that has a screen, you need to turn that off 1 hour before bed. And then when you are about to sleep, which is the zero, you get into bed and you try to fall asleep. So I think it's a really interesting technique that anyone could try if they have trouble sleeping and see if like, if it made any changes to your sleeping patterns. Maybe you get a lot more sleep, maybe you fall asleep a little bit quicker, without all those distractions are around you and without the caffeine in your body. Um, something to try out. I'm definitely going to try it. So, like I said, I wanted to shameless plug, but this is one of the student success workshops that I did where we talked about study techniques and habits. It's going to be on YouTube. It's on YouTube and it's also on your guys' Canvas. So you guys have nothing to worry about not about us watching it right now because time constraints. But I do want to let you guys know that this is kind of where I based all of this from. Okay. So one of the most important things as well is communication is key. Communication is very important when you are in a college course. And just in any class in general, but especially in a college course. So for one thing, you're with a professor, right? Communicating with your professor is very essential. Because say, for example, you don't know if you're doing an assignment right. You don't understand the rubric at all. Who are you going to talk to? You could probably talk to your classmates, which is like, that's one good thing that you can do. That's a good source of networking. That's also a good source of building a relationship with your classmates. But why not talk to the person who assigned it to you in the first place? Um, Communicating with professors to make sure that you're doing your assignments right is very important so you can get the full credit that you deserve and also that to also kind of show them that you understand the material that they are teaching you. It's also important to communicate with your professors so they know when you can't make it to class. Um, I want to emphasize this a lot because you guys are all dual enrollment students. You guys are college students. It is your responsibility to initiate conversations with your professors because your professor will not reach out to you. Maybe some professors will because that is their style. They are very communicative with their students. I've had a lot of professors like that. I've also had professors who are not like that. Um, it's your responsibility to interact with your professors through email. If they don't answer their email, try to text or call them if they give you their number. If they don't answer that, go to their office hours. That's one of the biggest things about communication with your professors is that you need to take the initiative in order for you to get the most out of your learning experience. And then also, it would be common courtesy to let your professor know, like, hey, I just can't make it to class today because I have transportation issues. I can't make it to class today because I missed the bus. And by the time I get to school, I'm pretty sure class is going to be over. So I'm just letting you know now. Um, Stuff like that is just good for a professor to know, to have when it comes to just marking down your attendance. Because again, attendance is a very big component of your guys's grade. Um, so just putting that out there. Okay, so time management. This one is its own presentation within itself, but I'm going to break it down really quick. Time management is a self-management skill. How does this relate to keeping up with your assignments and your attendance at all? Well, self-management skill. You know, We've talked about prioritizing your important tasks and minimizing distractions with our study habits and our techniques. Organization in general is part of time management. Planning your studying and your free time is part of your time management. And along with all of that all together, having self-care is also part of your time management. So as much as you guys want to, you want to breeze through all your classes, you want to make sure that um you guys are just getting things done, boom, 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 left and right. Um, you guys also need to take care of yourselves. Self-care is very, very important for not only our physical well-being, but it's also very important for our mental well-being. So when you are, you're creating your calendar, you're creating your reminders, you're eating the brain foods to help you concentrate, and you're getting your proper amount of sleep, um, develop healthy habits along the way when you are, um, changing the way that you are maybe doing your assignments, maybe the times that you are studying. Um, self Part of self-care is developing healthy habits in general, not only for when you're in school, but just in general in life for yourself. And when you do that, you avoid burnout. Burnout is not fun. I've maybe had that maybe a couple of times in my life as a student, and I am still in denial about a lot of the times that I've had my burnouts. So I honestly want to tell you guys, like, to avoid burnout. That can look like, say, for example, if you happen to be taking more than 5 classes at LBCC as a dual enrollment student, and you are starting to see that you're struggling a little bit, if you are still within the time frame of withdrawing a class from, if you are able to withdraw from a class without the W, you know, take that, take it, put yourself first. So with that being said, I want to say thank you guys for listening to this presentation. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.